I believe you are going to visit the family, though. Talk us through it. Is it via a commercial flight?
Oh, good afternoon, Kieran. Thanks so much for having me on. Yes, yesterday, startling news just within an hour of Border Force confirming publicly that I'd been given approval to visit the Tamil family, commonly known as the Biloela family, Nadez Priya and their two little Australian-born girls. As part of a visit, a National Capitals and External Territories Committee visit, a bipartisan committee, a group of us going to Christmas in Cocos Islands to do community consultation. And I'm really grateful Border Force gave me that approval. But within an hour, Peter Dutton, as Defence Minister, cancelled the plane. The entire committee's trip was off. Peter Dutton hasn't yet given a reason as to why this trip has been cancelled, but the Defence Minister clearly made that decision. But Kieran, I'm really happy to confirm that Virgin Australia have been incredibly helpful today. They have worked with my office to ensure that we could get on a commercial flight, and I will be leaving shortly to head to Christmas Island and to keep that appointment with Nadez Priya and their two little girls.
The government sources have released some information that says that the chair of the secretary, I should say, of the Joint Standing Committee on the National Capital and External Territories sent an email at 4:42 advising that the trip had to be cancelled due to conflicting government transport requirements. And apparently your approval from the Border Force arrived at 4:50. So that was 8 minutes
Kieran,
after. So it doesn't seem... But what do you say to that in response?
Well, what I say is actually we got written confirmation from Border Force the day before. My office had written confirmation the day before from Border Force.
So that clears that up.
Yeah, all that happened yesterday is that we had Senate estimates. Border Force was there, and I took the opportunity just to confirm publicly with Border Force that I did have approval. Border Force, they're fantastic. They even wished me a pleasant visit with Nadez Priya.
What makes you think this was malicious from the Defence Minister and not simply that the plane was being used for the Governor-General or for the Prime Minister or whoever else?
Well, Kieran, this trip has been months in the planning. It has been months in the planning by this committee that I am a member of. The former Defence Minister, Linda Reynolds, had given her approval for the plane to be used. There were receptions set up with the Christmas and Cocos Island communities. There were hearings, public hearings scheduled. There were big community meetings, almost like open mic consultation. There were tours of both islands set up. There were planes and ferries booked for us to undertake this travel. This has been months in the making, and literally at the last minute, with no explanation, all the members of the committee just got an email. Mine came at 5:12 p.m. Saying the Minister Dutton had decided that the plane was no longer available and therefore the trip was cancelled. Yeah, look, Kieran, the minister might have a reasonable explanation. We've yet to hear it. All I can say, it's passing strange and just a little bit too coincidental that within an hour of Border Force confirming publicly that I had permission to visit the Biloela family, Minister Dutton, who no longer controls Border Force but does control the planes, decided to cancel the trip.
They're saying the reason is that basically the other planes are being used. They're saying one is being used by the Governor-General, one by the Prime Minister, one by Dan Tehan, one's out of service, one is for a couple of ministers who are using it around Anzac Day. And that the approval was due to availability.
Well, Anzac Day has been known for some time, Kieran. Let's be serious. This trip has been scheduled by this committee. A committee, by the way, that is chaired by government members. This was a bipartisan group, including National and Liberal members who were going. And at the end of the day, it's actually the residents of Cocos and Christmas Island that are missing out here. I mean, these are residents of Australia. They get so little opportunity to interact with Australian parliamentarians. This was a specially designed, long-planned, special trip to go and conduct these public hearings, particularly around communications infrastructure. And yet, at the last moment, Minister Dutton decided to just cancel the trip.
So, but you said there that there are coalition members on the committee. So do you think that the minister would essentially take this action to prevent you from going, and regardless of the impact on his fellow coalition MPs? Is that really what he did?
Well, that's for Minister Dutton to explain, Kieran. I can't sit here and tell you what goes through Minister Dutton's head. Only he can explain his motives and his reasoning. And I note it's, nearly 24 hours. He hasn't really done so yet. why this last-minute cancellation for the National Capital and External Territories Committee. But what I am grateful about, Kieran, is that the good people at Virgin Airlines, as well as the good folks at Australian Border Force, have really done a great job in the last day, in the case of Virgin, the last few hours, to ensure that I can still undertake this trip. I'll have a few days there. I will meet with the Biloela family. I will also do as much as I can in terms of meeting the mayor and the local council, meeting as many of the community representatives that I can. I can't replicate the work of the entire committee, but I take my role on this committee seriously. I take the responsibilities as a parliamentarian seriously. And I think it's important too, Kieran, that that not only do I go to, say, Tanades and Priya and their 2 Australian-born daughters, that there's a wide support across the Australian community, including people like Julie Bishop and Tony Abbott and Barnaby Joyce and Alan Jones, who support the Biloela family and want them to come home to their regional Queensland community. But also, I think it's important that from those of us who live here in Australia, we should go and see what is happening in our name and with our taxpayer dollars. These detention centres are being run in our name and with our money. We have spent, as a country now, some $50 million fighting the court battles and detaining this family of 4 on Christmas Island. I think it's important that parliamentarians go and witness what is happening there and be able to convey it back to the Australian community.
Well, safe travels to Christmas Island. Talk to you soon. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.